Welcome to our third episode of Let's Talk Macarthur. Really proud to announce that we've got 5 partners for Let's Talk Macarthur that are here to provide you with information, tips, knowledge in their areas of specialty. So we've got Wakeling Automotive Group, we've got Coleman Greig Lawyers. They'll have a lot of different facets that they'll be able to bring to you. We have Fitzpatrick Robinson Accounting and Business Advisory Service. We have Richardson and Wrench, real estate agents, Mount Annan, Narellan, and TechnoFunc Fitness Studios that'll bring you information on fitness, well-being and health every month. So today's guest is an interesting one. He might not think so, but I do. Student of St Greg's College, a graduate of University of Wollongong, and I've got some interesting questions about that one. He's the host and personality behind Driving in Macarthur with Scott, skilled in business, communication and caring. He's passionate about the Wheels for Life program, supporting local hospitals with, I believe, now over $1.6 million that has been raised so far. Has been actively involved in a number of community and business organisations over the years and developed a strong community and team culture within the Wakeling Automotive Group. Welcome, Scott Wakeling.
Gosh, that was long. Thank you. I hope all that's true. I might have made most of that up.
well, here's one that I want to ask the question about is, as a graduate of University of Wollongong, medical physics.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I did not expect that.
Not many people do, but yeah, that was coming out of high school. My passion was science and all things physics for me, especially. So started that journey straight out of high school and completed it. At the back end of it, started working in the business with mum and dad.
Wow. And it's funny, like we talk about medical physics now, and with everything that's going on, you would have been right in the midst of it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would have been. I'm sure it's a very interesting area to work in at the moment. Lots of people doing great work. Yeah.
Not that you're not in the middle of it all with the rest of this. So I'm going to break this interview down into a couple of parts, but I really want to get to the here and now first, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper on who Scott Wakeling is, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So at the moment, obviously automotive is being heavily affected by the current lockdown and restrictions. One of the questions I've got for you is, how are you keeping the team connected at the moment? How many employees have you got?
Yeah, no, it's particularly challenging. We've got several locations, so the distance and geography also plays a bit of a part for us too. So the business spans from Campbelltown all the way down to Shell Harbour, right up back to Mossvale, Camden, Wollongong included. So we've got a mixture of people at work and at home and working at home or not working at home. What we try and do is stay as connected as we can. So that would be, for the people that are at work, we'll make sure we go and check in on every single one of them each day. Our management team is checking in with people that are not here every day. And then we've got some funky little things. We've created an internal Facebook page just for our staff where we're sharing little anecdotes and things they're doing or what their workspace looks like or how many plants they've got in the background, that sort of stuff. There's 150 odd staff that are on that page and they're sharing, 2 or 3 stories a day. We had a little bit of a Wakeling's Olympics when the Olympics were on, with paper airplane flying competitions and some one shot, paper toss games and stuff. So just trying to keep it a bit fresh. And then in addition to that, popping in and handing over some goods and stuff to staff where we can, where we think that serves a purpose too. So donuts and some local donut shops have done really well out of Wakeling's in the lockdown.
Yeah, I watched your latest Driving in Macarthur with Scott. And you did a delivery. Was that Kim that you did that one for?
Amy, yeah.
Amy, that's right. Yeah, my apologies. And that was really good. And you've been doing the series on and off for a long time now. And you've even done a few driving in Illawarra with Scott too. So it's they're always a little bit of fun. And I think it's important for community to be able to connect with the people that are within the businesses that are running in their area. So I like that one.
I think as the genesis of that was that the only thing that sets any business apart is its people. It's not necessarily the products or the place. sometimes it's a promotion, but it's always the people. And we're looking for a way where we could show the character of our staff and what they mean to us and how they're involved in what they do. So yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, and it shows a real culture within the Wakeling Automotive Group. And even though I haven't been inside of your business, but living in the area, I already know of the culture, and obviously I know a few people that work in the group as well. And I respected it that much, so I even referred somebody to go to work for your group. So, so it's really good. But it's a difficult thing as you grow to a larger employee base to be able to make sure that culture is continued through. So especially difficult at the moment. It sounds like you're doing some absolutely fantastic things that a lot of other businesses could take note of. How do you make sure you keep that culture going even during normal times when it's day-to-day business and we just get so involved with what we're doing in the operation?
As you were talking about that, we kind of haven't changed, whether it's lockdown or not. We've always tried to keep the business fresh and a good place to work at and have a laugh and don't take ourselves too seriously. Simple things like maybe not always having to wear a tie, or it's okay to wear a polo shirt. If people need to take an hour off to go and do whatever they need to do with their family, it's never a big deal. So we've always tried to treat it as though, or Dad always sort of said, treat people the way that you'd want to be treated yourself. And I think that flows through, and that's what we've kind of done and will always do.
Yeah, which is absolutely fantastic, and it shows through. So the business as it stands at the moment, obviously the showrooms are closed. You can only do click and collect. How are you controlling that? And how much of a pipeline have actually got coming through that you can deliver?
Yeah, so closed for click and collect. So at this stage, we've got pretty much one person in most showrooms, just handling inbound inquiry, doing paperwork for deliveries for cars that are coming in, whether that's by phone inquiry or email inquiry. We're getting a fair amount of that still. We're not doing test drives at this stage, but we can do valuations quite easily, and we're still doing some deals. The pipeline was pretty good coming into the current lockdown. Just the demand funnel has meant that we've got lots of cars coming off boats, and there's been delays in those. So we've been able to sort of still transact our way through the sales process. And I think when I looked at it the other day, we're probably running at about below 50% in retail sales at the moment, but still to have some retail sales, I think at this stage is exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on how long this goes on for will depend on how much you eat into that pipe. I know with some manufacturers, it's a little bit of a longer lead time than others. Your service and parts departments, they're open at the moment?
Yep, they're open. They're considered an essential service to make sure that the vehicles on the road are maintained. So we've got much lower staff levels at the moment everywhere. So they're probably running about 50% capacity at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, then there are elements of that business in terms of pickup and delivery that wouldn't be happening at the moment, and parts would be click and collect as well.
Click and collect for parts. They're probably the major change for us is that we haven't got the shuttle bus running, which is a big feature for us. That's a bit problematic, but that's just in accordance with what we have to do to keep everyone safe. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, which is great. So, and I'd imagine people would be able to find all this information on your website anyway. So just look up Wakeling Automotive Group and you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to ask you a couple of other little questions. So you went from Wollongong Uni, you graduated in medical physics, which is super impressive and a little bit intimidating sitting on this side of the screen. So then was it always going to be a natural thing that you started working with mum and dad?
No, quite the opposite. So I'm a family of four, two older sisters and a younger brother. And working in the business was never really spoken about. Most of us had, little day jobs or holiday jobs, washing cars or being a parts runner just for kicks. But no, it was never spoken about. So I remember, as I said before, going through the university phase, and I was working on the weekends in the business, having worked at a petrol station in Macquarie Fields. There was a job as a finance consultant that became available just to help on weekends on Steve All, our finance guy at Campbelltown. And so I started to get engaged with the business in that way. And then, I remember probably year 3, I think it was, at uni, because it was a 4-year degree. Sitting down with mum and dad saying, I'm not really sure that the uni thing is what I want to do. I like being involved with people and I'm really enjoying work, and would you consider? And we had a real family discussion, like it was a whole thing. It was never a ordained path at all. And so, yeah, the rest, I guess, is history. Finished the degree, straight out of that came and worked in the business.
Awesome. So finance business consultant for how long?
Oh, gosh, I actually don't know. Several years, but in amongst that, as you'd appreciate, at that stage, the business was a bit smaller. So I was doing odd jobs in administration and some sales stuff, a parts delivery driver for a little bit too. So just little bits.
Yeah, and it's great when you can get a touch point in multiple facets of the business, because it rounds out your general management skills. So your current role, how long have you been in the current role?
So we went through a succession plan with mum and dad, I think probably 2006, I would say. Actually, I'm never good at, I'm good at detail, but I kind of remember the things that really matter, and that specific day doesn't really matter to me. It's about what we're doing in the future. So I think it was about 2006. Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, to know where we're going in the future, sometimes we need to be able to know where we've come from. But once it's been done, it's been done.
Yeah.
There are always some difficulties and learnings when involved in a family business. Are any of your other siblings involved in the business as well? No? Okay, so really the relationship between your mum and dad and yourself.
Yeah.
Have you got anything out of that family dynamic in the earlier days working with your dad as you moved up through the management that you can impart to other people and say, well, look, these are some of the traps, these are some of the ways we overcome it? Or was it just a very symbiotic and you just flowed through it naturally?
Extremely symbiotic, yeah. We pretty much only ever talked about work. I mean, Dad's been out of the business for a fair while now, but I still obviously talk to him about the business because he's got such great experience. But we've only ever done that from a home point of view in work hours, if that makes sense. So we kept sort of work and home. I couldn't recall any conversations, outside of the 9 to 5 stuff where we spoke about stuff apart from like a special meeting. And I remember at one stage when I had to officially become the dealer principal for Hyundai, which meant that Dad was no longer the dealer principal for Hyundai. We had to go and meet with their management team, and we toddled off to head office at that stage. It was at Homebush, and we sat across the desk from the managing director, and he's put some questions to us, and he said, what's going to happen the first time, because Dad was still major shareholder at that stage, I was on my way through, what's going to happen the first time that you and your dad have an argument? And we both looked at each other and went, we actually have never had an argument about work. There's never been a time where we've had an alternate view on what we want to do. We've had the directional differences, but never had the issue where we've had an argument. So I guess that symbiotic thing is the best way to explain it.
Yeah, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think you probably hit the nail on the head where you had that division of work is work and home is home. And I think for a lot of, because I talk to a lot of younger business people, they have the partners in their business as well. And when I did my interview with Chantel, she pointed that out. They had to learn how to differentiate work from work and home to being home. Yeah. You still cycling?
Oh yeah.
How much do you cycle each week?
A little bit more at the moment with current restrictions, because taking a day off a week and riding out a little bit, but I don't know, probably a couple 100 Ks a week. Yeah.
Wow. I was only ever a part-time rider. I do 40 or 50 Ks a week. But I don't know whether it's my bike setup or it's just me. I just get this incredible pain going through my shoulder and my neck. So I've just given it up, saying it's just all too hard. So now we're lucky enough. We've got a gym set up in the garage. So we're lucky enough to be able to do that. So I was doing one this morning, but I twinged my back. So I'm thinking I just got to peel it back a little bit and realise what my age is, I think.
There's a limiting factor called AGE, yes.
Exactly right. What is the part of your life experience you would alter if you had the chance to?
Nothing. I can't think of, no.
Awesome.
Sorry. We should dive into that question though.
I don't know if you'd want me to. Well, it seems like it's everything sort of moved along at a certain pace, and it's been the right thing at the right time. A lot of that is not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about having the right mindset for what it is that you're about to embark on at the right time. So a lot of people get caught up and going, oh, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? And at the moment, a lot of people get caught in their own minds because of lockdown and that sort of stuff, and they struggle to find a way out of it. Some of us are very lucky in the fact that we've been able to move through parts of our life, and I'm a little bit like you. I'm in the here and now, and I just work on with what I'm working on. For those that don't, have you got any strategies that you've used in the past if you found yourself sort of getting caught up a little bit in your own mind?
One of the things that I did do in the mid-2000s was do a self-help course, I guess you would call it, some sort of improvement course. The Dale Carnegie Institute ran a course, and Dale Carnegie is a famous American businessman, and it's a course that Dad had actually done in the 70s and late, maybe early 80s perhaps, and he always used to rave about how it was the thing that changed his mindset in relation to work and personal life. So the key outtake of that, it was a several month sort of 1 day a week course of nighttime in the city. But the key outtake of that was you can only control, don't worry about the things that you can't control. And a bit like you were saying before, in terms of once you make a decision, you've made it, like live it and maximize it rather than second guess it. And you can only make the decision based on the information that's available at that time too. So as long as you've done all the research that you can and understand all the things that you want to embark upon, there's point in reflection, but there's no point wondering what would have happened if you didn't, because you didn't, and you should just focus on what you're doing and control the things that are controllable and not worry about the things that are not. And, the monkey on the shoulder sort of thing. There's no point listening to that dude. He's not the person that's controlling this.
Yeah, 100%. And it's such timely advice for all of us. So that's great. If you were to write a book about yourself, Scott, what would you name?
It'll be short.
Right. If you were to write a novella about yourself, how would you name it?
What would the title be?
Yeah.
God. What's next?
I like that. What's next? It's always looking to the future. I love it. So what if it was a movie? Here's a tough one. Who would play you?
It can't be me.
Can't be you.
I think most people would say like Brad Pitt or, some handsome man, but certainly not that. So I don't know, you'd have to pick some random guy off the street.
An unknown.
Yeah.
Turn him into a star. All right. Apart from, and you can't use your dad because everybody uses their dad in this one or their mum or their, I had a popper who was very important to me. But who are the three people who have been most influential to you?
In business and in personal, I'm assuming you're going to say?
Either or.
And it can't be family. Wow. Okay.
Can't be family. Because I understand from where you're at, your dad would be a natural.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He is for many. Yeah. 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 There's a guy, you probably know Steve Muter, was the ex-CEO of the Catholic Club. I had an affiliation with the club as a director way back when, probably in the early days, early 2000s, mid 2000s. And at that stage, I only had my dad, I guess, as that business guidance, and attended a few meetings. And I remember coming back and saying the way that Steve handled his staff and also, the directors at that stage, the board members, and his view on the customer at that stage, their members, it was really good, like super professional. And I remember there was probably not a lot of, it was just the way he approached it, the mental approach. Considerate, listening, thoughtful, but make a decision and move on with it kind of guy. So Steve would be one, probably out of left field a little bit. Tim Sheens was a guy who coached the Tigers in the premiership winning years. Yep. And again, I only had a little bit of exposure to Sheensy, but just as I was talking about it before, I remembered, we had him come talk to our managers once. And his approach was all about looking after the person rather than the process. Or also the process, but the important thing was that the player in his world and the rest of the organisation were in the right headspace. A bit like a Wayne Bennett is for the Broncos, I guess. Sorry, Rabbits now, isn't he? So Sheensy was good to be exposed to early on. I'm going to struggle for a third. Yeah.
I could give you a name. Say, oh, you got one. Okay.
I go back to I used to love my maths teacher in high school, Brother Richard. Not Brother Richard, that's horrible. Brother Alfred. And he was great. He was a guy who taught us maths from a motorized scooter. And he was an aged guy who lived up at the school, and I was in one of the advanced maths classes that had like 12 students, I think, in it. Yeah, and he would come down and teach from the class. And I remember he would always call me a wretch. He said, "Wakeling, you're a horrible wretch." But he was basically trying to always push you to do better than what you were and not be lazy in it. He was great.
Oh, awesome. That's excellent. Sounds like he was a bit of a character. So
it was a bit of a short story. Because he had the motorized scooter, you could only just stand up just to lean on the chalkboard. We used to detach the terminals on his battery, on his scooter, so he'd become stuck or he'd go backwards instead of forwards. Humour.
You were a wretch.
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
All right, here's one for you. What is the one common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
I think you, having lived in it as much as I have, or probably more, is that we're all rat bags. We're not all rat bags, and the vast majority of people that I know that work in our industry are great people. Probably in the past, and maybe there are still some, salespeople or people that don't do the right thing, but the vast majority do, and they give it a good crack.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've told the story before to other people about when I first got the job as a used car trainee for Terry Shill's Toyota, and I went home that night, and Ray Martin had the jobs respectability list up there.
Yeah.
Used car salesperson was third from the bottom. I said to my wife, "What have I done?" But it was really interesting. I always went into it with the mindset of I'm just there to help people. Yeah. And I remember sitting across somebody when I was a new car salesperson at Terry Shields, and somebody said to me, "Oh, you're just going to be a typical salesperson." I closed my book up and stood up and said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you. Yeah. If you don't want me to help you, then I can't help you. There's plenty of other people that can sell you a car." So I sold him a car. He was very contrite and that sort of stuff, which is nice. But I've always just gone about it, and I find that most of the people that I worked with in automotive for 27 years was the same. Yeah. If they genuinely just go out to help people, they prosper from that. Yeah. And you then develop a lot of friends and such a big network of people. And it's nice. It's nice, it's a nice way to be. But yes, you still come across a few, Scott, that
sure there are everywhere, aren't they?
but they don't last. No. They don't last. And now that I'm in real estate, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I'm just there to help people, and if they want to be helped, then fantastic. That's what I'm there for. Yeah. All right. If you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
Well, we figured out the sound issue, so is your microphone on?
Technology is not my strong point.
We got there. It's all good. What should you have asked me?
Yeah.
God, because then you're going to ask it. So, what's that? You could have said, "What's that?"
Yeah. What is that?
That's a Lego R2D2 character.
What's the car? The blue one?
That one. That's a Volkswagen Beetle. It's a Lego Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, it's a Lego one.
Yeah. I've got a multi-van down in the Volkswagen showroom that we built too. So the old combi. Yeah. I like a bit of Lego.
Yeah. That's that scientific part of your brain.
Yeah.
Because Lego's it's blocks, right? It's a construct. So, all right. So I finish all of my interviews with the same 10 questions. Okay. Right? So these 10 questions, I didn't make them up. I stole them off James Lipton from the Inside the Actor studio. And he in turn got them off Bernard Pivot, who was a French journalist and TV presenter, right? So don't blame me for the questions. Right?
I will, because you're still going to read them.
I'm still going to read them. And I think your team, apart from anybody else that's listening, I think your team will probably enjoy these. So number one, what is your favourite word?
Shit.
All right, number two, what is your least favourite word?
No.
What turns you on?
Knowledge.
Love it. What turns you off?
Ignorance.
I said that in my mind before you said it. What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh. Gosh, there's lots. Birds singing.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Harrison bouncing the basketball in the house.
How old's Harrison?
17.
Okay, so he's got a bit of force when he's doing that.
Yeah.
Right. You can refer back to number one if you like, but what is your favourite curse word?
Yeah, well, it's not, it'd have to be that one, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Is this PG?
No, I'm not rating it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, PG, that's subjective to the age. Let me tell you, their vocabulary is a little bit more colourful than mine. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Other than my own? Anything related to science.
What profession would you not like to do?
Ooh, wouldn't like to be a politician.
Yeah, who would? If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
We've been waiting for you.
Nice. I like that. Nice. That's it for the questions, right?
That'd be worried.
Yeah. So we're going to meet once a month. And in the other sessions, we're not going to go so much into Scott Wakeling. We're going to talk about what's happening in the business at the time. And get you to bring something to the table so people can get some information or advice or something like that, maybe even just an area of discussion that is interesting, right? So I thank you very, very much for today. I thank you very much for coming on board with Let's Talk Macarthur. I'm really passionate about giving something back to the community and local businesses and charities. I think it's really important that we do that. And I know you do too, because Wakeling Automotive Group and Paul Wakeling Automotive Group has had a really strong history of that. And I absolutely love it, which is why I came to talk to you first. So Scott Wakeling, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Today, I'm signing off everything that I send to people in texts and emails now as stay safe, stay sane, and stay connected.
Yep, all three.
Thanks, Scott.
See you, mate. Thank you.
Bye.